There comes a moment in every man's life, quiet, invisible, unannounced, when he must choose whether to be the master of his world or the victim of his feelings. It is not thunder that marks this hour, not lightning, not applause, but the still sound of his own heartbeat whispering, "Will you lead yourself or be led by the chaos inside you?" The greatest power known to man is not physical force, not money, not armies, not institutions. It is control over the self-dominion over one's own inner world. And I say to you with the full force of every truth I have ever known, until you master your emotions, your thoughts, your impulses, your moods, you will be a puppet in your own life. Stop trying. Yes, I said it. Stop trying. The man who tries never decides. He does not believe. He pushes, but he never commands. He hopes, but he never expects. He reaches, but never seizes. And because of that, the universe resists him. But the man who assumes his command, who speaks to life with authority, who acts with emotional neutrality, who holds his vision as law and his thoughts as soldiers to that man, the universe must yield. It is law. If you understand what I am about to say, your future will never again be at the mercy of your past. Your mind will become your engine, your emotions, your servants, and your actions unstoppable. Let us begin where all true power begins. Not with the world, but with yourself. You live in a universe governed by laws, physical, mental, spiritual. The law of gravity is no more fixed than the law of belief. The law of cause and effect, which states that every thought is a cause and every result is an effect, is as precise as any law of physics. Therefore, the results you experience are not accidents, they are mirrors. Mirrors of how you think, mirrors of how you respond, mirrors of whether you are ruled by emotions or rule them. Let me ask you directly, who is in charge of your thoughts? Is it you? Or is it your fear? Is it your anger? Is it your craving for attention, validation, control? For if it is not you, then someone else is already driving the car of your destiny, and that man has no license. I am here to speak to the man who is ready to take the wheel, to the woman who is done being shaken by every wind of doubt, delay, denial, to the one perhaps buried beneath years of hesitation who hears a whisper saying, "There is something more, and it begins with me." If that is you, listen now, as if your soul depended on it. The greatest secret of success is not ambition. It is not action. It is not trying harder. It is inner control, self-government, emotional detachment, mental discipline. These are the forgotten riches of those who rise. Emotional detachment is not coldness, it is power. It is the ability to walk through fire without letting the flames touch your center. He who detaches from outcome receives. He who detaches from praise becomes worthy of it. He who detaches from fear acts with courage. You were not born to be triggered by every voice, shaken by every failure, or defined by every storm. You were born to govern your reactions like a king governs a kingdom. But how can a man govern a kingdom when he has not mastered his own thoughts? 1,000 armies could not defeat the man who has command over his inner world. And yet, a single insult can destroy the man who lives in reaction. This is why most people fail, not for lack of talent, not for lack of opportunity, but for lack of mental mastery. They try to change the world while they are still slaves to their own moods. They try to achieve success while they are still emotionally owned by circumstances. They try to command others while they have not yet commanded themselves. And so they try endlessly, but they never become. Let me make this plain. The man who must try does not yet believe. And what you believe truly, consistently, without wavering, is what the universe obeys. According to your faith, it shall be done unto you. This is not religious metaphor. This is scientific fact. Your beliefs filter your perceptions. Your perceptions guide your decisions. Your decisions shape your actions. And your actions carve your destiny. Faith is not a feeling. It is a mental discipline. It is clarity held long enough to become reality. And clarity, true clarity, is not born from emotional confusion. It is born from emotional detachment. What is emotional detachment? It is the ability to feel deeply, but not be ruled by feeling. It is the power to observe your inner world without becoming it. It is the conscious separation of identity from emotion. I feel anger, says the man who has mastered himself. I am angry, says the man who is ruled by feeling. Do you see the difference? The one uses emotion, the other is used by it. Until you can separate your thoughts from your being, you are not free. You are a hostage bound not by ropes but by reactions. But the moment you say, I am not my feelings, I am the commander of them, in that instant, you have taken the first step to unlocking the most unshakable form of power known to man, self-mastery. Do not be confused. The enemy is not the outside world. The enemy is your reaction to it. And every time you blame the world, you hand it your power. You blame the critic, you empower the critic. You blame the failure, you empower the failure. You blame the delay, and you empower delay to rule over you. But when you detach, when you see life as it is, and not as your emotions paint it, you begin to make decisions based on vision, not feeling. And this, my friend, is the birthplace of greatness. All truly great men, the captains of industry, the titans of invention, the masters of wealth, have shared one thing in common. They governed their inner world first. They lived not by reaction, but by intention. They acted not from impulse, but from purpose. They responded not with emotion, but with vision. You must do the same. Let the world react. You must respond. Let others panic. You must plan. Let the masses be tossed by storms. You must be the mountain. How? By mastering the two invisible pillars that hold up every empire: inner calm and accurate thinking. These are not natural. They are cultivated. Inner calm is the result of mental rehearsal, the practice of observing without judgment. And accurate thinking is the result of mental discipline, the refusal to accept a thought just because it feels familiar. The average man believes what he feels. The exceptional man tests what he thinks. Understand this: emotions are not truth. They are messengers, signals, feedback. If you treat emotion as law, you become a slave to a storm. But if you treat emotion as information, as a whisper from the subconscious, you become a master of navigation. There is a difference between the man who is the wave and the man who rides it. Which are you? Stop saying, I feel overwhelmed. Start saying, I observe the feeling of overwhelm, and I choose clarity. Stop saying, I'm so angry. Start saying, there is a sensation of anger moving through me. I acknowledge it, and I redirect it toward purpose. This is not delusion. It is domination. It is the reclaiming of your mind. Do you think Andrew Carnegie built his fortune by reacting emotionally to every loss? Do you believe Henry Ford innovated the world by letting mood swings dictate his decisions? Did Edison stop trying after 1,000 failed attempts? Number. They were driven by vision, by definiteness of purpose, and that purpose was stronger than any passing emotion. You must build the same. Definiteness of purpose is not merely having a goal. It is the mental condition in which every thought, word, and action is aligned with a central aim. It is the condition in which your mind becomes a laser, not a flashlight. A flashlight lights up everything. A laser cuts through steel. Your purpose, if held with intensity, will cut through every doubt, fear, and delay that dares to stand in your way. But that purpose must be planted deep beneath the noise of emotion. It must become your emotional anchor, the place you return to when storms rise. This is why you must stop trying. Trying means you are still negotiating with your fear. Trying means you are still open to failure. Trying means you are still seeking permission from something outside of yourself. But when you decide, when you no longer try, but command, then your thoughts gain force, your words gain weight, your actions gain gravity, and the universe must respond. Your mind is a battlefield. Every day, every hour, every minute, you are either conquering it or being conquered by it. There is no neutrality. You are either feeding the power of your will or the weakness of your whims. If you do not take control of your inner world, someone else will. Advertisers, emotions, social pressures, memories, doubts, they will invade your mental space like weeds in a garden you've neglected. And make no mistake, if you do not plant strong thoughts deliberately, the default weeds of fear, envy, and reaction will take root without permission. Now consider this. You are not your circumstances. You are not your bank account. You are not your upbringing. You are not even your past failures. You are the thinker, the master, the selector of what you accept and reject from within your own mind. And through that selection, you shape your fate. But the tragedy? Most people don't select. They absorb, they react, they try, and that's why they stay trapped. Trying is the religion of the undecided. It's the language of the emotionally attached. It's the excuse of those who have not yet become mentally sovereign. The man who says, "I'll try to succeed," has already accepted the possibility of defeat as an equal partner in his plan. The man who commands success from within, however, does not entertain failure. He does not consider defeat. He does not try, he assumes. Assumption, when backed by belief and executed with discipline, is the mental magnet that draws results from the invisible to the visible. When you assume your success, when you assume you're calm, when you assume that the world must move in response to your internal state, that assumption becomes the spiritual decree that life must obey. Why? Because your assumption dictate your actions, and your action dictate your results. But assumptions must be rooted in mastery, not delusion. Do not confuse wishful thinking with mental command. They are opposites. Wishful thinking says, "I hope this happens someday." Mental command says, "This is who I am, and this is what must follow." Wishful thinking reacts to environment. Mental command creates environment. If you want to rise to a level where circumstances bow to you instead of break you, you must become emotionally untouchable. And how do you do that? Discipline. Discipline is the bridge between thought and power. Discipline is what transforms your emotion from a wild horse into a chariot of will. Discipline is the daily decision to follow principle over impulse. Let me be clear. No man is free who has not built discipline. The man who is ruled by emotion, the man who changes direction every time a feeling shifts, is a slave, no matter how much wealth he has. And the man who controls his thoughts, even if he sleeps on the floor, is a king in his mind. Discipline is your daily altar. Upon it, you must sacrifice your need for comfort, your addiction to validation, your craving for ease, and in exchange, you will receive dominion over time, over mind, over self. Here is a principle that will shock you, and yet, once you understand it, it will liberate you. You do not need motivation. You need standards. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. It depends on conditions. It is the breeze. But standards are structural. They are identity. They are non-negotiable. They are the steel beams of a skyscraper that does not sway when the storm hits. Set the standard, then obey it even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. That, my friend, is the moment when greatness is forged, not in inspiration, but in obedience to your higher self. And that higher self cannot emerge if you are still seeking approval from others. Let me ask you bluntly, who are you performing for? Who is the invisible judge in your mind? Your parents, your friends, your competition, the marketplace, the internet? If you are still dancing for applause, you are not in command, you are in captivity. Detach. Let go of the need to be liked, seen, celebrated. The only recognition that matters is the one that comes from the mirror of your own conscience when you know, "I kept my word. I led myself today." That is dignity. That is power. That is the invisible signature of every man who ever built a legacy. And this detachment from approval, from outcome, from emotional impulse is not the absence of ambition. It is the refinement of ambition into something indestructible. Now let us go deeper into one of the most misunderstood forces of success, autosuggestion. Most people think autosuggestion is about repeating phrases. I am rich, I am confident, I am powerful. But this is only the surface. Autosuggestion, properly applied, is the daily installation of belief systems that rewire the subconscious mind to obey you like a well-trained soldier. Words are not enough. You must charge your words with emotion, but not wild reactive emotion, calm, detached intensity, inner certainty. When you speak your commands to yourself not as a plea, but as law, your subconscious accepts them as instruction. I do not beg for discipline. I am disciplined. I do not hope for wealth. I command it through service, clarity, and calm persistence. I do not fear failure. I observe it, learn from it, and transmute it into fuel. This is autosuggestion at its highest level, belief fused with identity, detached from emotion, repeated with intent. Over time, your mind begins to move in rhythm with the identity you declare. And then, without effort, without struggle, the universe begins to obey the clarity you hold. Why? Because you are no longer trying. You are being. Let me tell you a truth known only to those who ascend beyond the masses. The universe does not respond to desire alone. It responds to frequency. And your emotional state, your mental discipline is your frequency. If you say, I want to succeed, but you vibrate fear, doubt, and desperation, then the frequency you send contradicts the message. But if you embody peace, certainty, and clarity, without trying to prove anything, you broadcast a signal of power. And to that signal, life must respond. This is why the calm man gets the job. This is why the silent man commands the room. This is why the emotionally detached man becomes a magnet for results. Because detachment is not the absence of desire, it is the presence of mastery. Now hear this. You must become calm enough to know even before the evidence appears. You must become disciplined enough to act even when nothing around you seems to move. And you must become detached enough to persist even when the world throws its worst at you. If you do this, your commands will echo into the structure of reality itself. You will no longer live in reaction. You will live in creation. But remember, this level of power cannot be faked. It must be earned. Through daily decision, through quiet discipline, through total control over the one realm you always possess, your inner world. The man who wins in the end is not the one who shouts the loudest. It is the one who whispers truth to himself every morning and obeys it. Let your mind be still. Let your standard be high. Let your detachment be firm. And let your vision held without trying, assumed without effort, become the silent law that governs your future. The world you seek to change, the wealth you seek to gain, the success you desire, none of these things are outside your grasp. But they will remain outside your reality so long as you remain a slave to reaction. I must impress this truth into your mind with such force that it never leaves you. You do not get what you want. You get what you are. The outer world is a direct mirror of the inner man, not of his prayers, not of his promises, not of his dreams, but of his state. Your inner condition is not a secret. It is written into the air around you. It leaks into your words, your walk, your tone, your breath. It is the vibration you carry into every room. And that vibration either commands or repels power. Understand this. Power does not come to the man who seeks to dominate others. Power comes to the man who first dominates himself. The moment you say, I no longer react to life, I direct it, you have crossed a threshold few ever find. From that moment, everything changes. The world feels different. Time feels slower. People become more predictable. Emotions become tools. Delay becomes data. Criticism becomes fool. And the man who lives from this state becomes inevitable. He no longer chases. He moves. And life rearranges. You've been taught to push harder. I say stand firmer. You've been taught to hustle. I say command with your presence. You've been taught to grind through doubt. I say delete doubt by detaching from the illusion that you must earn your right to exist. You were born to command, not beg. Born to create, not to cope. Born to direct thought, not be directed by it. But you cannot command while you are emotionally attached to outcomes. Let's define what that means. Emotional attachment is the belief that I must have this or else I am nothing. That's fear, that's weakness, that's noise. And life does not obey noise. Life obeys order, structure, calm, conviction. You will never magnetize the highest version of your future until you no longer need it to feel complete. Let that sink in. The moment you can say, this is mine, but I do not need it to validate who I am, that is the moment your desire becomes attractive rather than repulsive. You see, most people push their desires away because they chase with desperation, and desperation repels. But the man who detaches from the timeline, the applause, the proof, the outcome, and walks with quiet inner certainty, that man bends time. He collapses delay. He accelerates cause and effect. because he vibrates at the frequency of fulfillment before the result appears. He does not try, he knows. And because he knows, he moves like it's already done. Not as performance, but as identity. This is where mental discipline meets spiritual law. You cannot fake this state. You must build it. How? By confronting the places within yourself where chaos still rules. By confronting the impulses that pull you off course. By confronting the habits that betray your vision. And then one by one dismantling them with force, repetition, and unwavering clarity. You must ask yourself every day, am I acting from emotion or from vision? Am I responding to life or trying to prove something to it? Am I moving from inner command or from the need to control outcomes? Let your answers shape your decision, and let your decision shape a new identity. The man who acts from vision even while feeling fear is a warrior of the mind. The man who acts only when emotions permit is a servant of circumstance. Choose your side, and choose it daily, because the war for your mind is never won in one day. It is won moment by moment, in silence, in solitude, in the conversations you have with yourself when no one is watching. Discipline is not dramatic. Discipline is invisible. Discipline is the quiet decision to train your thoughts, to obey your purpose, not your mood. And from this inner training comes stillness. Now listen carefully, for we are entering a sacred place few ever reach. Stillness is not inaction. It is not laziness. It is not apathy. Stillness is the vibration of mastery. Stillness is the state of a man who has seen the chaos of the world and said, I will not match its frequency. I will create my own. Stillness is the womb of power, the place from which clarity is born, decisions are refined, and action becomes effortless. It is in stillness that you begin to sense the architecture of life responding to you. It is in stillness that your assumptions take root. It is in stillness that the invisible obeys your voice. You must not confuse stillness with passivity. The man who is still does not sleep. He builds in silence, with precision, without haste, and when he moves, the earth notices. The lion does not roar all day, but when it does, the jungle listens. Be like that. Build your mind until your presence becomes your command. Now let us speak of presence, for it is not taught in books, and yet it governs your results. Presence is not charisma. Presence is not posture. Presence is energy, the energy of a mind that is no longer at war with itself. When a man has aligned his thoughts, detached from his needs, and trained his emotions into obedience, he walks into a room and alters it. He does not try to influence. He is influence, because others feel without knowing why that he has mastered something they have not. And they respect him because nature respects alignment. When you become aligned within the world, aligns around you. That is why the universe does not obey the man who pleads, begs, or fights. It obeys the man who no longer tries, because that man is no longer sending out confusion, contradiction, or chaos. He is a clear signal, and clear signals create clear results. So I say to you, stop trying, start deciding, stop proving, start being, stop reacting, start reigning. This is the law, not my law, not your law, the law of creation itself. You are not here to manipulate the world. You are here to master yourself so completely that the world bends in response. Now rise, not physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Rise from reaction, rise from confusion, rise from dependency, and begin your reign as the one who no longer needs the world's permission to live on purpose. The moment you stop trying, the universe begins obeying. The world does not bend for the man who shouts. It bends for the man who is silent and sure. Certainty is not volume. It is vibration. It is the frequency of a mind that has made peace with itself and now moves from clarity, not chaos. Let us now confront the silent destroyer of dreams, emotional reactivity. The man who reacts emotionally to every difficulty, every criticism, every delay, is like a sailor who throws himself into the storm and begs the sea to calm. He does not adjust his sails. He screams at the wind, and the wind does not care. But the master navigator, he reads the sky, he reads the tide, he adjusts his position, and he moves forward, not in rebellion against nature, but in harmony with it. This is emotional detachment. It is not withdrawal from life, it is engagement with life from a position of power. The reactive man says, "They made me angry." The master says, "I noticed anger rise, I chose stillness." The reactive man says, "This delay ruined me." The master says, "This delay showed me where I lacked patience." The reactive man collapses. The master expands. Every time you feel an emotion, you are standing at a crossroad. Will you become the emotion, or will you use it? The untrained mind becomes whatever emotion passes through it. The disciplined mind recognizes emotion as energy, not identity. Let me show you how to take command of your inner chemistry. Step 1, name it. You feel fear. Say it. This is fear. Not "I am afraid." That is identification. Naming it creates separation. It gives you a vantage point. Step 2, locate it. Where is the fear in your body? Your chest? Your throat? Your stomach? When you locate the sensation, you remind your mind that emotion is a physical response, not a permanent reality. Step 3, direct it. Now ask, what would a master do with this energy? Would he speak or wait? Would he panic or plan? Would he lash out or lead? This process, if done consistently, will make you untouchable. And I mean that literally. You will still feel, but you will not be owned by what you feel. And that, my friend, is the beginning of real wealth. Yes, wealth, because emotional reactivity is poverty. You spend your energy on defense. You burn your time chasing validation. You lose your focus reacting to fools. But when you detach, you save energy. You accumulate time. You preserve focus. And that inner surplus becomes outward abundance. The calm mind is the fertile soil where all riches grow. Let me say that again. The calm mind is the only place where riches can take root and flourish. An emotionally reactive mind cannot hold a vision long enough for it to become real. It switches directions, it panics, it doubts, it sabotages, it demands results before planting seeds. But a calm mind? It sees further. It holds vision under pressure. It plants without fear. It waits without anxiety. It adjusts without drama. And because of this, the calm man becomes wealthy, while the reactive man stays busy. You must ask yourself now seriously, do I want to look powerful, or do I want to become unshakable? One is show. The other is substance. The world is full of men who look powerful: suits, noise, bravado, but behind closed doors, they're slaves to their emotions. They fear judgment. They depend on approval. They crave permission. And so they perform not led. But the man who masters himself, he can sit still and command more influence than the one who screams. Because power is not volume. Power is self-control. Let's now speak of response versus reaction, one of the most vital distinctions of your life. Reaction is immediate, it is unconscious, it is emotional. Response is deliberate, it is conscious, it is chosen. Reaction is fear in motion. Response is power in action. The masses live in reaction. They react to headlines, to prices, to moods, to comments, to delays. They are thermostats changing with the climate of the world. But the elite mind is a thermostat setter, not a thermometer. It creates temperature. It holds a fixed internal state, and it leads the external to follow. You must become that. You must learn to wait before you speak, observe before you judge, breathe before you move. This is not slowness. This is strength. When you learn to pause, not because you're afraid, but because you are deliberate, you enter a new realm of mental power. This pause is the space where intention can override emotion. This pause is the womb of wisdom. This pause is where vision overcomes impulse. Practice it, and you will build a mind that makes fewer mistakes, wastes less time, and earns more respect. And now let us speak of energy. You are a system of energy. Your thoughts, your feelings, your habits all vibrate. And everything you attract or repel is determined not by your words, but by your energy. When your energy is erratic, the universe becomes confused. When your energy is desperate, the universe responds with delay. But when your energy is calm, focused, non-attached, the universe aligns with you like iron shavings to a magnet. So I ask you, what energy are you sending right now? If it's neediness, stop. If it's anxiety, still it. If it's confusion, clarify it. And if it's confidence, amplify it. Because once you are calm, you become magnetic. Once you are still, you become dangerous in the best way. And once you stop trying and start assuming your power, the universe stops resisting and starts responding. This is the unshakable truth I leave you with. You are not here to chase. You are here to choose. You are not here to prove. You are here to embody. You are not here to try. You are here to command. So be still, be sure, be aligned, and the world will follow the orders written by the calm authority of your soul. And now, as we approach the summit of all that has been revealed, let the fire of this truth settle into your bones. You do not need more effort, more speed, or more ambition. You need stillness. You need discipline. You need unwavering clarity of inner command. The man who builds empires is not the one who reacts to life, but the one who imposes form upon it quietly, deliberately, and without apology. You were not born to fight chaos by becoming chaotic. You were born to remain centered while the world unravels, to build order from within and project it outward until it remakes reality itself in your image. This is the great secret the masses never understand. The man who appears to be doing the least, who sits still, who says little, who moves deliberately, is often the one achieving the most. Because he is not trying, he is commanding, he is not reacting, he is initiating, he is not chasing, he is drawing. And how does he do it? He guards his attention like a fortress. He treats his thoughts like sacred instruments. He refuses to let emotion drive when reason must lead. He trains his nervous system to remain neutral under fire. He walks with the conviction of a man who knows the world is not his adversary but his mirror. You see, there is no such thing as life is against me. There is only life is showing me who I am. If life feels frantic, it is reflecting your inner disorganization. If life feels hostile, it is echoing your unresolved tension. If life feels unfair, it is mirroring your belief that you must struggle to receive. But if you return to stillness, if you breathe into your own alignment, you will find something extraordinary. Life begins to soften, not because it changed, but because you did. The soil outside responds to the seed within. So plant deliberately. Speak quietly. Move as if you are already there, because mentally, you must arrive before results ever do. This is how you collapse time. This is how you make the future present. Not by grasping, but by commanding. Not by rushing, but by embodying. You were not meant to try your best. That is the gospel of mediocrity. You were meant to decide who you are and act in perfect alignment with that decision until reality bows. I do not say this lightly. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is the blueprint that every powerful man, every wealthy woman, every unshakable leader has followed, whether they knew it consciously or not. They did not try. They assumed. They did not hope. They embodied. They did not beg. They became. You must now do the same. But first, burn every lie that told you you needed permission to act like you've already arrived. The lie that says you need more experience. The lie that says you need more time. The lie that says you need more support, more applause, more proof. You need more focus. You need more emotional neutrality. You need more command over the one domain you always own, the inside of your mind. And from there, all else follows. So do not confuse external chaos with internal weakness. The man who has mastered his mind can walk through a collapsing world and remain unmoved because he understands the world is not what he watches. The world is what he projects. His thoughts create frames. His moods create magnetism. His standards dictate outcomes. And because he governs these things like a king governs his court, the world adjusts around him. Do you understand now? You are not in a prison. You are in a palace you haven't claimed yet, because you've been waiting, trying, hoping, performing, but the palace only opens for the one who walks, as though the keys are already in his pocket. So walk, not with arrogance, with authority. Speak, not to impress, but to instruct reality. Act, not to earn permission, but to prove you've already received it, because the moment you stop trying and begin to embody the entire field of possibility shifts. The people who once ignored you take notice. The opportunities that once fled now approach. The delays that once frustrated you dissolve. Not because the world changed, but because your presence did. And that, my friend, is the end of struggle. That is the beginning of reign. No more noise, no more begging, no more leaking energy into every passing emotion. You are the architect now. You are the governor of thought, the commander of action, the master of your emotional domain. And from this inner empire, you shall speak your word, and the universe will obey. Why? Because the man who no longer needs to try has already become. And what he becomes, the world cannot resist. So go forward, not with haste, with gravity, not with desperation, with dominion, not with proof, with presence. The stillness you embody today will echo as the power you walk in tomorrow. And when they ask you, how did you do it? You will not say, I tried. You will say, I decided. And everything else obeyed.